As advertised, Cameron Bairstow, Kendall Williams here for representing New Mexico. And we'll open up for questions and start right here.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. For both of you guys, third year, you guys have been through this, but last year for both of you. So any different feel to this point? I know the game doesn't start till tomorrow, but any different feel?
Cameron, you first, please.
I think just because it's a new team, a new situation, it is a bit of a different feeling. It's been a different feeling, I think, every year based on seeding and expectations and all that stuff. But I think in the end of the day, when we get to game time tomorrow, it'll just be the same thing and just approach it like any other game. So we'll see how it feels tomorrow.
Yeah, just we don't take anything for granted. Like you said, it's our last, especially since it's our last time. Every experience, even if it feels the same at some point, is different. We're playing a different team, different year. We're a different team, so we're just excited to be back.
Jerry Tipton, Lexington Herald Leader. Cameron, the Stanford players were talking about the physical nature of your game. How much does that factor into how you try to get things done?
I think that's a lot of what I try to do in terms of playing physical, getting to the foul line, and try to, in a lot of situations, not the most athletic guy, so have to try to make it a more physical contest on the ground and take away some of that athletic nature.
Just as a follow, how the new rules this year are supposed to reduce physical play. How have you dealt with that?
Yeah, I think it has on the defensive end, especially I think in the post play especially, I think has limited what you can do on the defensive end without the arm bar, and especially for the guards on the perimeter with the hand checking. But I think you can take advantage of it on the offensive end, and I think we did struggle a lot to begin the year with that stuff in terms of staying out of foul trouble. But as the year went along, you kind of learned how it was getting called. So as long as you can stay away from it on the defensive end, you can take advantage of it on the offensive end.
Kendall, I'm curious with you had the experience obviously in Colorado Springs. You know Jason Randall a little bit. Is that your matchup, and what can you say about his game?
It's not my matchup. It's he's a point guard. I play the off guard. So, but overall, we don't treat anyone as a specific individual matchup. I competed against him over the summer. Great player. He leads a very talented team. So. He's definitely a vocal point of us, but I'll get some looks at him. Hugh will get some looks at him, and the rest of our guards will get some looks at him. So, just mixing it up on him. Very talented guy, so we just gotta keep the ball rolling for him.
And I heard that you played AAU with Brown. I guess he's a little younger, or was that way back, or what do you remember about the AAU days?
Yeah, we go way back. So he's another SoCal kid, and. You seem to run into a whole bunch of AAU kids when you get to this stage. So another talented player, and he actually is my matchup. He's the off guard. I'm the off guard. So we'll start on each other, and we talked about it. And we're just excited to both be in this position and match up against each other. And it's it's a great opportunity for both of us.
And Cameron, how does a young man from Australia end up playing for New Mexico?
A bit of a weird recruitment. Ryan Miller, who played out in Australia, had a contact who got onto my AS coach very late in my recruitment, I think about 2 weeks before I was planning on my visits, and just out of the blue got an email from him, showed him some game film, and they're interested enough to recruit me and got me over there and loved it on my visit. So just went from there, but it wasn't a long recruitment or anything. It was just out of the blue and random coincidence.
Greg Palermo with Fox 2 here in St. Louis. I'm wondering, speaking of going way far back, if your coach has shared any stories of going up against Coach Dawkins back in their playing days when they were both in the ACC.
Whoever has a story. Kendall, how about you first?
Yeah, no story on my end. That's actually the first time I heard about that. But yeah, I do realize that they both were pretty good in the ACC. So It's an interesting coaching matchup right there. But yeah, no stories.
Yeah, same here. No stories, but Noodler doesn't really speak much of his playing days. So
Ever since he lost the assist record to, who was it? Like Kendall Marshall a couple years ago, he doesn't talk about his glory days anymore.
Stay right here.
I'm curious. You guys have a whole season behind you now, and what have you guys as players seen the evolution of Noodles as a coach from the first exhibition games till now? Is he a different coach today than he was in October?
Cameron, you first, then we'll go to Kendall.
Yeah, there has been obviously a lot of change-ups, and I think he is more calm in a lot of situations now and has better understanding. I mean, being a head coach is different from being an assistant, which he was for a number of years, so he's been learning on the job as well. But I think at this stage we've got a pretty good idea of him as a coach and kind of know what to expect a bit more. We always knew what was going to be the technical aspect in terms of offensive, defensive philosophies, but to see how he will handle certain situations you weren't really sure of because we hadn't seen him in that situation before. So I think he is just, well, we know really a lot more what to expect from him, and I think that's where we're at now.
Yeah, I think Cam pretty much touched on it. We, especially being kind of a veteran group, we figured we pretty much knew the ins and outs of the system and the X's and O's, but just seeing him kind of grow as a leader and dealing with the staff and with the players, and especially now going into the NCAA tournament, I think we all have a nice comfort level with one another, and like Cam said, it's an adjustment as a head coach. There's a big learning curve, and we did collectively as a program, we did a good job of staying together, getting some big time wins, getting back in the situation, and at this point, whether you're a freshman or a senior, first year coach, 10th year coach, it's a level playing field, and hopefully by now you've established yourself, and we feel really good at where we're at.
Ryan Fago, Sporting News for either of the guys. I'm just curious, do you guys ever talk about last year, Harvard? When was the last time that you did? If not, when was the last time you did?
Kendall?
2 seconds ago. We just talked about it before we came up here. We figured someone was going to ask us, and we're glad you did. We talk about it all the time. It was a tough loss, but at the end of the day, everyone loses. Everyone loses. It's a tough way to lose, but high seeds lose all the time, and I had respect for that team going into the game, and more respect now, and hopefully Cincinnati has some respect for them because they were a good team last year, and they're even better this year. So upsets happen all the time. People ask if we've learned from it or whatever, and sure we have. It's tough to go out like that. It's tough to you represent your program. So I think it's helped us go in with a better mindset, and now we're really just prepared to take every possession by possession and go from there.
Anything else for the student athletes of New Mexico? Oh, yes, on the right-hand side.
Yeah, hi, I'm Gary Mahokas from USA Today. Cameron, I wonder if you have a feel for how the NCAA tournament plays back home in Australia. Do people actually follow it?
Not as much as over here. I think it gets a bit more exposure each year on a variety of channels and such, but I remember when I left it still wasn't close to the extent of what it is over here. When St. Mary's made the Sweet 16, it gathered a bit of attention towards them, but still not nearly as big as a deal as it is over here. It's just the nature of basketball in Australia and I guess exposure of overseas basketball.
Hi guys, Robert Portnoy with the Lobo Sports Network. As seniors, each day you play now could be your last day. Would you talk about that a little bit?
Kendall, start us off, please.
Yeah, definitely. We talk about it a lot. We've talked about it basically all year, the end of our journey, and I think that's really helped us as a team, the seniors that have appreciated our ride, and we've taken every game like it could be our last, really. So I think that's helped us prepare for these situations where literally, if you lose, the season's done. So There are a lot of seniors out there. You know, I wish them all the best of luck because you know, it's a great sport. It's a great way to bond with other guys and with other people, and it's a great circle. So, like answering the Harvard question, we're just going to take it possession by possession, and at the end of the day, someone has to win, someone has to lose, and we're hoping we come on the winning side of the ball.
Yeah, like Kendall touched on, I mean, there's going to be winners and losers and a lot of seniors who it's your last game. So, end of the day, you just got to enjoy it. You're not really sure when's your last game is going to be at this point. You've just got to take it game by game and just enjoy the whole ride because you really have no idea when it's going to end, and just make the most of the opportunities you do have.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And the head coach of the Lobos is here, Craig Neal. We're going to ask him to make an opening statement regarding his team being here in St. Louis, and then we'll go to questions. Coach?
Really excited to be here. St. Louis is unique for me because I grew up about 3 hours from here. So been over here a lot when I was younger. So really excited about my team, the opportunity to play Stanford. Got a really mature group. Really thankful that we were able to get those 2 seniors back to the NCAA tournament and the 4 starters that we had last year. You know, they did a lot of great things this year, winning the tournament, Mountain West tournament Saturday. So really excited for the opportunity to play tomorrow.
Start right there, and number 2 is here.
Coach Jerry Tipton, Lexington Herald.
Yep.
The Stanford guys were talking a lot about the physical nature of your play, especially the big guys. How physical do you guys play?
Those 2 guys are pretty physical. You know, I always said I got the 2-headed monster. Cameron, of course, is a kid that's developed from day one. Came to us about 6'9", 210. Just as a tireless worker, spent a lot of time in a weight room. Could barely dunk a basketball when he got here, and now he can put his head on the rim. So he's really worked to develop his body. He's a very physical player. I think this summer helped him a lot with his the international play he did at the university games and also with the Australian Olympic team. And then Alex has always been a big kid from Los Alamos, a local kid who has really come on. He is very talented, and he's got a lot of basketball skills, but he's also, you know, he's probably about 20 pounds bigger than he was last year. He's real physical. So those guys are a tough matchup. They are a physical group. That's one thing we've taken advantage of this year, and we'll continue to do that.
Hold on a second. Is there a follow-up? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wondered, Coach, about the new rules, quote unquote, and designed to take away physicality to a degree. How have you guys had to adapt to that?
Well, I think the physicality or physical play is still pretty prevalent in the post play. You know, I think they got away with the new rules with the hand check and playing with your feet instead of your hands and your arms, and I think they've cleaned up the game, and it's a lot of fun to play. I think you can still be physical in the paint and screening and stuff if you do it the right way, and that's what we've tried to do. And we've been very fortunate this year to win 27 games and play the way we play. Our team has always been a guard-oriented team. Like last year, we had Tony Snell, who was a first-round draft pick of the Bulls. And I think this year we've played a little bit more inside, more physical with our post play because we've got 2 really good post players. And so it's worked out really well for us this year.
Coach Neal, Daniel McCarowitz with the Rock Island Argus. What are your thoughts on Stanford guard Chasson Randall?
He's really good. I've known him since he's really younger when we were at Iowa. And I saw him at the USA trials and followed his career and been to watch their practices a couple years ago. But really impressed with how he's matured as a player and developed as a player. You know, he can do a lot of things. He can put it on the floor. He can shoot the ball well. And he's become a really, really good leader for their team. So, you know, I really like how he plays, and he'll be a key matchup for us.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. Coach, I asked the Stanford players and I asked Coach Dawkins if they had played anybody this year that they could compare Cameron Bairstow to. And I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Pac-12, but the player they said he reminds them of is Tony Parker at UCLA. I'm just curious your thought on that comparison.
I wouldn't know anything about UCLA, but no. Cameron's just, it's hard to compare him. The one thing about Cameron Bairstow, and I've told a lot of people this, he does it in so many ways. He can post you. He's got great footwork. He can shoot the 18, 19-foot jump shot, which he's really improved on. He can drive it now. We've put him in positions to drive it and make plays. He's made plays on the basket, but he also makes the right pass. So, you know, that's you know, Tony's really good. Tony's a low post player from Atlanta, and he's at UCLA. But Cameron can do it all. And I don't mean like he doesn't have any weaknesses, but he's really, really elevated his game with confidence and his hard work.
Coach Dawkins was asked about when you two competed in your playing days, and he said that you brought a joy to playing basketball. I wonder how you recall that, what you think of that.
So back when I was younger, I think they said it was out of control. And then once I got to junior and senior, they thought it was just because I loved to play, and I did love to play. I think we have a great game. I fell in love with it a long time ago when my dad was a coach for 32 years as a high school coach. It's in my blood. I never thought I'd be a coach, and very fortunate to be sitting where I am right now. But I played the game the way I always try to get my players to play. It's a blessing to play it. It's a lot of fun to play it, and I've tried to coach it that way. I've tried to make it fun for my guys because we're all very fortunate to be a part of it. We're all very fortunate to be in the NCAA tournament, but I did play it the way I thought I should play, and that's because I loved it. And that's the way I view it now.
Coach, Cam is probably more than any player I've covered into that routine, and that, I mean, he wakes up at 4:30 to get food in him, to get the calories up and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious, a week like this, when you guys aren't as in control of the schedule, you have midday press conferences, midday open practices, how the team adjusted, making sure Cam still is in his comfort zone?
I learned when I first got the job to stay out Cam's way, and I'll let Cam do his routine, and he'll get his routine in. So we've been very fortunate. It's like I told the story. Everybody makes a big deal. Cam used to lift after all the games, and then I think it was after our Air Force game, I walked down there to check to see how our health was, and we had 6 guys in there lifting. So I just think what he's done is work ethic. He'll get his routine in, and I just kind of let him do his deal, and he's there for all the team functions, and you know, he does his eating, and if he needs food, he calls us, and we work it out to get him some food. So I know how important that is to him, and we've just been very fortunate to have a group of kids, this team, and not only all 14 of them. We've been very fortunate to have a group of guys that have been very dedicated and very responsible and very disciplined on their approach to winning and their approach to the program. We're very fortunate to have all of them.
And as a quick follow-up, you have let this team be a little more loose and free, kind of like the free spirit Dawkins talked about you as playing. I'm curious if that's tough to manage when you've let them get back on Twitter, you let them grow their hair out, you've let them do things they weren't doing prior to you being the head coach.
Well, I didn't let them grow their hair out. You know, one thing my boss did tell me when I was interviewed for the job was to shave and get my hair cut, and it worked out for me. The reason why they grew their hair out is because of Hugh's mom. You know, she's in remission from breast cancer, and Hugh's got this idea that we should all grow our hair out, and then we're going to shave it at Lobo NCAA next year. So I've kind of let them go with that. But I've been a little bit looser with our guys. That's how I am. I think the game's fun. I think you have to enjoy it. The more you enjoy it, the harder you're going to play, the more you're going to love it, the more passion you're going to play with it. But those guys understand that we haven't backed down from discipline. When you trust team and you trust players, their responsibility with trust is to do the right thing. And I've trusted them and they've trusted me, and it's worked out really well. But I think they're in a little better place being able to be who they are.
Greg Palermo with Fox 2 in St. Louis. I'm wondering, given what you said about how your dad handed the game down to you, how special this season has been for you and Cullen, and the fact that he's played this year even after the appendicitis.
It's been very special. You know, I'm not going to lie. I think one of my goals when he came here, you know, when Randy Bennett was very, very nice to let him out of his letter and come play for me, one of my goals is I always wanted to coach my son in the NCAA tournament. And I reached one of those. And also I wanted him to be a part of a championship team, and we did that. So it's been very special. It hasn't been easy, but he's handled it. You know, I'm just glad that, you know, 2 weeks when we got back from Australia, I was going to redshirt him. And I spent 3 days with him, and he's like, I'm not redshirting. And I was just like, all right, it's your decision, but you're going to go through some rough patches. There's going to be some rough passage for you with your strength, you know, so you better be prepared to handle, you know, if you play good, you play bad. That's just part of it. And he's come through it with flying colors and really matured, and he's got his strength back. But he's been a big key to us. When you're the fourth leading scorer on a team that's 27 wins and won the Mountain West tournament and ranked, you know, in the top 20, you know, he's had a fairly good year, and hopefully he'll play well in the tournament.
Over on the right-hand side, thank you.
Hi, Gary Mahokas from USA Today. I know you only have one basketball game on your mind, but could you just share with me a couple memories of that 1986 game where your team beat Duke?
We beat them. You remember when they beat us? Yeah, we did beat them. And we had some good games, really good games. I think that was the first year that Duke went to the Final Four with Coach K, Johnny's team. I had really good teammates in Mark Price, who was an excellent NBA player, and John Sally, who went on to win a championship with Detroit. And Mark was one of the best point guards to play at Cleveland. And then we had Dwayne Farrell and Tommy Hammonds, and they had Tommy Amaker and Jay Billis, and those guys they were a really good team. We kind of all came up together because that's when Georgia Tech started to do well and when Duke started to do well. It was a big win for us at home, and the only bad thing is, and I know you guys won't look this up, I missed a jump shot to win the ACC tournament that year, and it wasn't easy. It was a tough situation, but I missed about an 18-foot jump shot to win the ACC tournament, and it's one of those things that, you know, you learn from your failures. And I learned from that, and I still get mad at Mark asking him why he didn't shoot it and passed it to me. So it's one of those experiences that I've learned from, and I've gotten better for it, and it's made me a better coach, and it made me a better player.
Coach, you mentioned that St. Louis has a special part of your background growing up. Talk a little bit about that, if you could.
Well, I just think, you know, it's a unique situation in southern Indiana. We didn't have any baseball, and so you're either a Cardinals fan or you're a Reds fan. And one of my guys on my staff, Drew Adams, grew up in Bloomington, and he's a diehard Cardinals fan. And he could tell you batting averages, pitching, how many pitches they threw the night before. And when you grow up in southern Indiana and you're a high school coach and there's not a lot of means in your family, you do a lot of trips by car. And, you know, we made some trips over here, and I'm just fortunate enough that my dad's been with me this week. You know, I can't figure out how to get rid of him out of Albuquerque because he seems to come and stay for months at a time. But it's good to have him around. Then my mom's going to make the trip over tomorrow, and it'll be good to see her. So you know, St. Louis is a cool town, and we spent some time over here. So, you know, it's a neat place, and very fortunate to be here to participate in the NCAA tournament.
Lee Faria, KOB TV, Albuquerque. Coach, how much does experience play in this game where this is your third trip in a row for the Lobos?
Well, I think it'll play key for us. We've been very fortunate to be in the tournament 3 years. And, you know, I think those guys will learn from it. I've talked to them a little bit about it, haven't dwelled on it. Kendall's played in it 3 times. This is Hugh's second. Alex was around it. Cam's been around it. So I think their experiences will help our younger guys, our newcomers. But I think they'll feel a little bit more comfortable than they had in years past. At least that's what I'm hoping happens. And I'm just trying to keep my guys loose and just play good Lobo basketball and have fun with it. And hopefully we'll play like we've been playing the last 2 weeks of the season.
Anything else for the head coach of New Mexico? All right, Craig, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Appreciate it.